Bobby Fischer game in 1956 against Donald Bryne will always be immortalized in the Hall of Fame of game, which has actually stood the test of time. The game, popularly known as the game of the century, held in New York. Bobby was barely 13 years old when this game was played. With a tactical and unleashing precise storm, Bobby ended Donald Bryne's flawless mating net and announced a generational genius, creating a tactical sacrifice with the Black Queen. To this time, chess game ever played by a teenager, and greatness ranks with no former trophy, surpassing its enduring legacy. Here, we shall be looking at this game. Bryne opened with knight to f3, knight to f6 by black, pawn to c4, pawn to g6, knight to f3, bishop to g7, d4, kingside castle, bishop to f4, pawn to d5, queen to b3, d takes c4, queen takes c4, c6, pawn to e4, knight b to d7, rook to d1, knight to b6, attacking the white queen, queen to c5, bishop to g4, pinning the knight on the diagonal line towards the rook on d1, bishop to g5. Now, this move is not actually mandated. What white can do or should have done in that position was to develop the light square bishop. By doing that, it would have given him more a tactical position to be able to play this game further, but he went for a different dimension altogether. Knight to a4, attacking the queen and also attacking the knight. Queen to a3, knight takes c3 with an attack on the rook on d1. Now this is a forced attack for white. The only way white can play this game is to play b2 takes knight on c3. If that is being played, white will have zero chance to be able to castle in this game. B takes c3, knight takes e4, because the e4 pawn was only defended by the knight on c3. White responded with a bishop capture on e7 and a double attack on the queen and rook. Queen to b6, bishop to c4, attacking the f7 pawn. Knight takes c3 with an attack on the d1 rook. Bishop to c5, attacking the queen. To interject, if it was a normal player, most of us would have retreated with the queen. But no, when you hear Fischer, you know his game is always full with masterclass. For him to retreat, he did not retreat with the queen on b7 on b6. The game he played next was a shocker. Rook to e8, check on the e1 king. King to f1, bishop to e6. Also, Fischer did not retreat with his queen to safety, allowing his queen to hang on the board. Bryne captured the queen with b6. That move also gave Fischer a clinical aspect to handle this game further. Now with a tactical move, Fischer takes the bishop on c4 with a check, forcing White's king to move down into the position of the board. King to g1. Now this is also based on White's ignorance. Due to the ignorance of Bryne to castle on this game, led him to have a rook on h1 that is yet developed, and this little blunder has actually cost him the game. Fischer, noticing this, played knight to e2 check, forcing the king back to f1. Knight to c3 check, and also putting pressure on the d1 rook, forcing the king back to g1. Pawn takes b6, opening an attack on the white queen. Queen to b4, rook to a4, defending the bishop, and the knight is defending the rook, creating a 4-square back-tree defense. The bishop on g7 is actually doing a great work. Queen takes b6, knight takes b1, h3, opening space for the king. Rook takes a2, an isolated pawn. h2, knight takes f2, rook to e1, going for a rook trade. Fischer accepted. Rook takes e1, queen to d8 check, Bishop to f8, defending. Knight takes e1. Bishop to d5, cutting out the queen to have access on the d5. Knight back to f3. Knight to e4. Queen to b8. b5. h4. h5. Knight to e5. King to g7. Fischer plan here is to bring the bishop to d6, creating a battery fork on the queen and the knight. Let's see how Bryne is going to reply to this particular move of the king to g7. King to g1. Here was where the magic started. The long walk of freedom of the king, moving throughout on the row in the first row in the board. Bishop to c5 check. King to f1. Knight to g3 check. King to e1. Bishop to b4 check. King to d1. Bishop to b3 check. King to c1. Knight to e2 check. King to b1. Knight to c3 check. King back to c1. And Fischer ended this game by playing rook to c2. Checkmate. Wow, what a game, what a masterpiece, combining the two bishop, a rook and a knight, making the king, the white king, to move from the h1 square to c1, where the final blow was handed to white. Mr. Bryne failed to develop, and this cost him this game. Yeah, the game of the century was created, and Fischer won the brilliancy prize in this competition, announcing him as a future world chess champion. If you love this game and you love this content, do well to subscribe to this channel. Turn on your notification bell to receive more engaging content like this. Thank you.